1284. We went through that sutta in case you have forgotten. Okay. Actually, the bottom of 1283. And what monks is carnal delight? Then the Buddha said, monks, there are these 5 chords of sensual pleasure. The delight that arises in dependence on these 5 chords of sensual pleasure, this is called carnal delight. And what monks is spiritual delight? Spiritual delight is secluded from sensual pleasures and from unwholesome states. A monk enters and dwells in the first jhana, which is accompanied by thought directed and sustained, with delight and happiness born of seclusion. With the subsiding of thought directed and sustained, he enters and dwells in the second jhana, which has internal confidence and unification of mind, is without thought directed and sustained, and has delight and happiness born of concentration. This is called spiritual delight. So spiritual delight, the Pali word is piti niramisa. Piti niramisa. So spiritual delight refers to the delight that arises in the first and the second jhana, right? It's very clear here from this Sutta 36.31. So now we go back to this page 1571. So the Buddha says, when this monk puts forth energetic effort, that means meditates, then spiritual delight arises. So just now we just saw that this piti niramisa refers to the delight that arises in the first and the second jhana. So in other words, this monk, after learning the Dhamma, then he puts forth energy, he meditates, and then he attains the first and the second jhana. Then only he has that spiritual delight. So he develops that spiritual delight by attaining the first and the second jhana. For one whose mind is uplifted by delight, the body becomes tranquil and the mind becomes tranquil. Whenever monks, the body becomes tranquil and the mind becomes tranquil. In a monk whose mind is uplifted by delight, on that occasion the enlightenment factor of tranquility is aroused by the monk. On that occasion, the monk develops the enlightenment factor of tranquility. On that occasion, the enlightenment factor of tranquility comes to fulfillment by development in the monk. So, here this tranquility can refer to the first jhana, can refer to the second jhana, can refer to the third jhana also. So, this tranquility is the tranquility of mind as a result of having that piti. After that piti arises, then here the Buddha says tranquility is developed. For one whose body is tranquil and who is happy, the mind becomes concentrated. Whenever monks, the mind becomes concentrated in a monk whose body is tranquil, and who is happy, on that occasion the enlightenment factor of concentration is aroused by the monk. On that occasion, the monk develops the enlightenment factor of concentration. On that occasion, the enlightenment factor of concentration comes to fulfillment by development in the monk. Stop here for a moment. Now, in the suttas, the Buddha, whenever he refers to samadhi, concentration, he says samadhi refers to 4 things. First jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. So here, when the Buddha says concentration, it refers to any one of these 4 jhanas. But perfect concentration is the 4th jhana. So here refers to the 4 jhanas. And then the Buddha continues. He closely looks on with equanimity at the mind thus concentrated. Whenever monks, a monk closely looks on with equanimity at the mind thus concentrated. On that occasion, the enlightenment factor of equanimity is aroused by the monk. On that occasion, the monk develops the enlightenment factor of equanimity. On that occasion, the enlightenment factor of equanimity comes to fulfillment by development in the monk. Now, what is this equanimity? We go back to page 1284. That's why it's very important to study many suttas, so you cross-reference the suttas and you can understand better. Page 1285. Here it says there are three types of equanimity, actually two types. Carnal equanimity and spiritual equanimity. Carnal equanimity refers to the equanimity that arises in dependence on the 5 chords of sensual pleasure. And then spiritual equanimity refers to the 4th jhana. This is very important. So here we are talking, just now we talked about spiritual delight, spiritual piti. So now we must be referring to spiritual equanimity, upekkha. So spiritual equanimity in this sutta 36.31, it means the 4th jhana. Okay? So just now we went through the 1st jhana and 2nd jhana when that piti arises. Then after that we talk about tranquility, concentration. So it's natural that we end up with the 4th jhana. So this last factor of the Bojjhangas refers to the 4th jhana. So you see these 7 factors, these 7 Bojjhangas, how they are cultivated, from the learning, the hearing the Dhamma. You practice and slowly you go through the 1st jhana, 2nd jhana, 3rd jhana, 4th jhana. Then only after you have attained the 4th jhana, then all these factors are complete. Monks, when these 7 factors of enlightenment have been developed and cultivated in this way, 7 fruits and benefits may be expected. What are the 7 fruits and benefits? One attains final knowledge early in this very life. If one does not attain final knowledge early in this very life, then one attains final knowledge at the time of death. If one does not attain final knowledge early in this very life, or at the time of death, then with the utter destruction of the 5 lower fetters, one becomes an attainer of Nibbana in the interval. If one does not attain final knowledge early in this life, or when one dies, or in the interval, then with the utter destruction of the 5 lower fetters, one becomes an attainer of Nibbana upon landing. And then if one does not attain final Nibbana early in this life, or at the time of death, or in the interval, or upon landing, then with the utter destruction of 5 lower fetters, one becomes an attainer of Nibbana without exertion. Then after that, with exertion, then after that, one becomes one bound upstream, heading towards the Akanita realm. So these are the 7 factors, the 7 fruits and benefits to be expected. The last few benefits are mentioned, bound for the Akanita realm, and then with exertion, without exertion, upon landing, and in the interval. These 5 descriptions refer to the Anagamin. The Anagamin person, after he passes away, he can attain Nibbana in these 5 ways. This one we won't talk about it tonight, we'll come across it some other day. So this is a very important sutta. It explains very clearly how to develop the 7 Bojjhangas. This is one of those very important suttas. A lot of monks, they don't refer to. In fact, if you want to learn meditation, you want to learn the practice of the holy life, this is the type of sutta you want to understand how to practice the Bojjhangas in the right way, systematically, one by one. Even like the Noble Eightfold Path also is to be practiced systematically from the first factor, right view onwards. A lot of people don't understand, they come to the Dhamma, they start practicing the last factor, meditation. So exactly with the Bojjhangas, you start by learning the Dhamma, then you recollect the Dhamma. Then after recollecting the Dhamma, then you investigate the Dhamma. And after investigating and understanding the Dhamma, then you put it into practice. When you put it into practice, you use energetic effort. So when you use energetic effort, then you attain the first and the second jhana. Then this piti arises. So after attaining the first and second jhana, the mind becomes tranquil. And after that, the mind becomes concentrated. Then after that, you attain either that when you say the mind is concentrated, it may be that that person has already attained the fourth jhana or has already attained the three jhanas. But the last factor is definitely the fourth jhana, when the mind becomes equanimous. So all these seven Bojjhangas all refer to learning the Dhamma and practicing samatha meditation. Because learning the Dhamma is actually vipassana. When you recall the Dhamma, when you investigate the Dhamma, all that is vipassana, contemplation. 46.5 at Savatthi. Then a certain monk approached the Blessed One and said, "Venerable Sir, it is said, factors of enlightenment, factors of enlightenment. In what sense are they called factors of enlightenment? Or why are they called factors of enlightenment? They lead to enlightenment, monk. Therefore, they are called factors of enlightenment. Here, monk, one develops the enlightenment factor of mindfulness, which is based upon seclusion. Enlightenment factor of recollection, which is based upon seclusion, dispassion and cessation, maturing in release. One develops the enlightenment factor one by one. It has to go in that order. The last one is equanimity. While one is developing these seven factors of enlightenment, one's mind is liberated from the asava of sensuality, from the asava of existence, from the asava of ignorance. When it is liberated, there comes the knowledge it's liberated. One understands, destroyed is birth, the holy life has been lived, what had to be done has been done, there is no more for this state of being. They lead to enlightenment, monk, therefore they are called factors of enlightenment. These factors of enlightenment are very important. If a person wants to attain enlightenment without developing these seven factors, they cannot attain enlightenment. That's why. So here the Buddha explains, they lead to enlightenment, therefore they are called factors of enlightenment. The next sutta we come to also very important, 46.6. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Saketa in the deer path at the Anjana grove. Then the wanderer Kundalya approached the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. When they had concluded their greetings and cordial talk, he sat down to one side and said to the Blessed One, "Master Gotama, I am one who stays around monastic parks and frequents assemblies. After the meal, when I have finished my breakfast, it is my custom to roam and wander from park to park, from garden to garden. There I see some ascetics and Brahmins engaged in discussion for the benefits of rescuing their own theses in debate and condemning the theses of others. But what is the benefit that Master Gotama lives for?" And the Buddha said, "Kundalya, the Tathagata lives for the benefit and fruit of true knowledge and liberation." In other words, for liberation or enlightenment. But Master Gotama, what things, when developed and cultivated, fulfill true knowledge and liberation? And the Buddha said, the seven factors of enlightenment, Kundalya, when developed and cultivated, fulfill true knowledge and liberation. But Master Gotama, what things, when developed and cultivated, fulfill the seven factors of enlightenment? The four intense states of recollection, Satipatthana, Kundalya, when developed and cultivated, fulfill the seven factors of enlightenment. But Master Gotama, what things, when developed and cultivated, fulfill the four intense states of recollection? The three kinds of good conduct, Kundalya, when developed and cultivated, fulfill the 4 intense states of recollection. But Master Gotama, what things when developed and cultivated fulfill the 3 kinds of good conduct